Our stories are not just the sorrow or the disassociation that folks want to have with us because it makes them too uncomfortable to question their own existence. That's really what's happening. A lot of the issues that we come across with like homophobia and with transphobia is a lot about projection more than it is about who we specifically are. Because anybody who's fully comfortable with themselves is not concerned about somebody else. You're not. You don't have the capacity to be that bothered by somebody else's life. It has to hit you in a certain way. It has to strum one of those trauma chords. It has to do something to resonate with you. And so a lot of those negative interactions that we have are more projection than they will ever be a representation of something being wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with us. We exist as people. We are here. The end. Thinking about the Oppression Olympics, if we think about the way that queer people are often pit against racialized groups. So like there's this big contention between the Black community and the queer community, right? Black people Black cis het folks tend to be very homophobic, right? There tends to be a lot of homophobia that runs rampant within that part of the Black community, as though Black queer people don't exist. What the Oppression Olympics does is it creates that disconnect that allows that differentiation for the Black community, like the Black cis het community, to be homophobic and say, well, these folks are, taking away from us. Nobody's taking away from anyone if you're all part of the same community. And so if we think about it in that term, think about it as part of the Oppression Olympics, think about every homophobic and transphobic action as just being part of the Oppression Olympics. It means that you can't participate in it. You gotta listen. Michelle Obama, I know it's hard to hear. When they go low, we go high. Yeah. I know it's hard to hear, but she's right. She's right. We have to do that. Because otherwise, we're feeding into the things that are keeping us as these crabs at the bottom of the barrel. It's not ever going to be your responsibility to teach everyone about you. It's not even your responsibility to take on somebody else's projections. It's not your responsibility to have to mitigate somebody else's learning about queer people, right? So mind your self-care. But the more visible we are, the more present we are, the more people will naturally learn about us. Think about all the things that you learned as a kid that you were not taught. You learned plenty without physically being taught those things. In the same way, right? Us being present is part of the world's learning process. So you don't have to get into fights with people. You don't have to put yourself in harm's way. Your existence is writing history.